Ecosystem after system is plundered and laid to waste as from the earth he sucks the life.
Saving North East NSW's rainforests, 40 years on. Protestors mount Nardi in 1982. October 26 marks the 40th anniversary of the 1982 Rainforest Decision by the ALP government of Neville Wran, which resulted in 120,000 hectares of some of our most important rainforests and old-growth forests on public lands across North East NSW being protected from logging in national parks and flora reserves. The Terranea Creek Protest 1979. The decision was the culmination of over a decade of campaigning that primarily gained public recognition and support through forest blockades at Terranea Creek in 1979 and Mount Nardi in 1982. It was those actions that focused public attention on rainforests, created the need for political resolution, and ultimately stopped rainforest logging in NSW. 40 years later, climate heating necessitates a renewed effort to save our rainforests. Mount Nardi in 1982. The campaign to save rainforests from logging can be considered to have commenced with the construction of a new logging road into the rainforests of the Wiangaree Plateau, north of PughOct, in 1972, which galvanized local opposition and garnered support of Sydney conservation groups. In response to the growing concern, the NSW Forestry Commission agreed to protect the Grady's Creek Flora Reserve in 1973, and for the rest of the rainforest to retain 50% of the canopy when logging. The campaign continued, with the goal of creating a proposed 33,000 hectares Border Ranges National Park encompassing the then Wiangaree, Rosebery, and, part, Mount Lindesay state forests. It gained renewed focus in 1975 with proposals to log old-growth hoop pine rainforest on Lever's Plateau, an area the sawmiller John Lever had refused to log in the 1940s because of its beauty. It became the most controversial environmental issue in NSW. The May 1976 state election resulted in the Labour Party, led by Neville Wran, being elected with a one-seat majority. While the new government supported the logging, they bowed to community pressure by establishing a State Pollution Control Commission inquiry, and in May 1978 announced their decision to create a token narrow, snake-like, Border Ranges National Park along the border, encompassing Lever's Plateau and Grady's Creek Flora Reserve. The catch was the Flora Reserve was to be revoked and logged before being made into a park. Hugh and Nan Nicholson with daughters Terry and Elka at Terranea Creek, 1979. Meanwhile, the Terranea Native Forest Action Group, TNFAG, had been formed in 1975 to stop the logging of 770 hectares of old-growth rainforest and wet eucalypt forests in the Terranea Creek Basin, north of Lismore. Initially, the campaign by the TNFAG was dismissed both by Sydney bureaucrats and major conservation groups as being an inconsequential issue of minor significance. The Terranea Creek Protest 1979. That all changed on the 16th of August 1979 when, with an escort of 150 police, the loggers attempted to force their way through 200 protesters and begin logging the Terranea Creek Basin. It was the first forest blockade in Australia. Over a month 41 people were arrested and the protest gained national media attention, making rainforest logging a national issue that could no longer be ignored. Farther south, the major rainforest and wet forest areas of Washpool, New England, Werricum, and Barrington Tops had been identified as wilderness areas in 1976, and there were campaigns underway to protect them. The rainforest theme united these campaigns and provided the impetus they needed. Other major rainforest stands were included as the government considered what to do. The Rainforest Decision was the culmination of over a decade of campaigning that primarily gained public recognition and support through forest blockades at Terranea Creek in 1979 and Mount Nardi in 1982. In July 1982, rainforest logging over the ridge from Terranea Creek in Gryers Scrub, Goonimba State Forest, incited locals to form the Nightcap Action Group and initiate a direct action harassment campaign. When logging moved to Mount Nardi, confrontations escalated. The logging was ultimately stopped by an injunction on the 22nd of October 1982, Kiwi v Forestry Commission of NSW, on the grounds that an environmental impact statement was required before logging rainforest. loggers mount Nardi in 1982. A few days later, the NSW cabinet made their historic Rainforest Decision, creating or expanding the Nightcap, Border Ranges, Washpool, Dorrigo, New England, Werricum, and Barrington Tops National Parks, creating Mount Seaview and Mt. Highland Nature Reserves, and the Murray Scrub, Sandy Creek, and Cambridge Plateau Flora Reserves. In acknowledgement of the international significance of these rainforests, and to forestall coalition threats to open up the new parks for logging, they were included on the World Heritage List as the subtropical and temperate rainforests of eastern Australia in 1986. The Rainforest Decision was the culmination of over a decade of campaigning that primarily gained public recognition and support through forest blockades at Terranea Creek in 1979 and Mount Nardi in 1982. The Rainforest Decision did not end all rainforest logging, rather the intent was that it be phased out by 1990. However, by then the coalition was back in power and had no intention to stop rainforest logging until NEFA, North East Forest Alliance, blockades in North Washpool in 1989 and 1990, and a court case, exposed illegal rainforest logging. Most of our rainforests were cleared, those surviving haven't yet recovered from 150 years of logging degradation. Their buffers are still being logged, and a new threat became apparent when over a third of NSW's rainforests were burnt in the 2019-20 wildfires. Unfortunately, we can't rest on our laurels, as we need to step up once again to save our rainforests, this time from intensifying droughts and wildfires caused by climate heating.
Welcome to the Rainforest Information Centre, protecting rainforests in partnership with Indigenous communities and local people to safeguard these vital ecosystems. Join our mission to protect rainforests. Your support makes a difference. Don't miss out on the opportunity to learn more about our work. Help us save the Earth's remaining rainforests. Visit johnseed.net today.
Ecosystem after system is plundered and laid to waste is from the earth. He sucks the life